on YouTube right now. Hey, YouTube!
Hi.
Episode 6. Here we go. What's up?
Yeah, that was good. Welcome to episode 6. We are in our closets again.
This is where we do. Hey, guys, we may have a surprise for you next episode or two. In the next few episodes, keep an eye out for something new, something different.
Okay.
The locale may change. You know what I'm saying?
I'll go. I'm not scared. Sounds fun.
Okay.
All
right. See if we can get our bodies together.
Yeah.
Same place.
Let me share my ish with you. Okay. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Episode 6. YouTube, you're so great to just kind of hang with us. Okay, today we're talking about implementing intentionality. So are we ready to start? Looks like...
I think that our acronym should change to S.H.I.T.
She.
Oh, she.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I like it. Okay.
Just saying.
Let's start this officially.
Okay, here we go.
So we've talked about self-restoration, Nicole.
Wow, Polly. Is this really how you're going to introduce exciting episode number 6?
For the record, it is 12:35 a.m. my time. Okay.
Okay, I tried to stop you, but this is what dedication and the grit, tenacity, focus of an integrator like Polly Gage. Because literally, I'm like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I got this."
We're on a schedule. Okay, and you know what? I say we keep this intro and we dive right in.
Let's do it, girl. Get it.
Okay. So today we're talking about the I in our S.H.I.T acronym that we have been discussing the last few episodes. And the I in this one means implementing intentionality and consistency. Okay, that's kind of a lot for one letter, but it's important.
Well, let's go back. We've talked about self-restoration, which is the S, and we've talked about home management, which is the H. And so we're going to now talk about implementing intentionality, which is what our jam is. I mean, let's be real. It's kind of important.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty much everything I stand for. So,
so let's define what that means. If it's so important, what does it actually mean? Intentionality means doing it on purpose. Okay. Doing it with intention. That means that you set out, there's forethought, you've premeditated it. In a nutshell, it means planned purpose. And consistency, which is what we want you to have, is repeating a process for a long-term effect. And so we do it with discipline, and we do it over and over again because we want the long-term result. And it's doing things in the same way or repetitive over time. So this is really creating a new habit, a productive habit.
Yes. And we hear all the time, it takes 21 days to make a habit.
I literally saw that on the internet yesterday, and I was like,
break an old one. Yes. That's actually not true. Okay. So to set some expectations for you guys, research actually shows, now you're going to want me to link to my source. I'll have to find it. But research shows it actually takes anywhere from 66 to 291 days to make a new habit. Okay. So this is the problem. Let's just talk first habit we can talk about really, really fast. Diet and exercise, right? You can go strong for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, do you stay? Or do you fall off the bandwagon and stay off the bandwagon, then get it back on for another 3 weeks? You see what I'm saying? But if you can hold strong for a couple months, you actually start to see some major changes in your willpower and in your habits, because it takes time to create new mental pathways in your brain. It's like a legit thing. So here's another example.
Synapses.
Yes. See, there's an actual word for it. Again, it is 12:38 my time. If you are a yelling mom, if you are someone who yells a lot and you want to stop yelling at your kid, well, or kids, whatever. Sorry. Anyway, it's late. If you're a yeller and you want to stop yelling, okay, it's going to take lots of practice and lots of time and over and over and over again to stop yelling. If you wake up one morning and you're like, I'm not ever going to yell again, and then you yell later that afternoon and then you hate yourself, it's like I just lost my train. I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Here's the thing. What you're trying to get at is that the consistency of making a small effort over time is what leads to success. Because if we don't focus on making a small adjustment every single day, we will get stuck and completely debilitated by guilt.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know my brain. Okay.
This is why we do this together.
It's not going to happen overnight, okay? It's going to take trial and error and practice over and over and over again. And you're going to mess up. You're going to have to reassess yourself. You're going to better your processes. You're going to figure it out over time. And after a couple months of really implementing intentionality and consistency, it's going to become more natural to you, okay? It will become a part of your life, okay?
Goals.
So, this is a baby step thing. This is not, and when we're talking implementing intentionality, we're talking about overall in your life, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So in being intentional and consistent with your morning routine, intentional and consistent in the way you manage and plan and schedule your home, intentional and consistent in your business, okay? You need to be all these things in order.
No pressure.
No pressure. Seriously, I'm so extra. Like, it's gonna come across. Is it gonna come across, Nicole, that I'm just like so extra?
No, here's the thing.
What kind of advice is she giving?
No, I mean, if you want to hang out with us, you're gonna need to understand that there are times that one of us is going to be completely out of balance and the other one can come and scoop it up. And here goes Nicole to balance it out, okay? Because our number one enemy in this movement, this community that we're building, and our desire to bring your businesses to health and to thriving and to profitable, our biggest enemy is going to be guilt, because that affects your mindset, it affects your consistency, it affects your productivity, it affects everything. And so what Polly's getting at is that your ability to be consistent is going to combat guilt. It's going to combat that feeling like you're a failure. So let's talk about those things so that we can identify them, recognize them for what they are, and cut them off at the pass, release them, and make it stop.
Remember, we've talked about this and we've said this in every episode so far. So I'm sitting here saying you've got to have intentionality and consistency in every aspect of your life. But what do? You bathe it all in grace. Okay. Do not forget that part. So I can sit here and say, set your intentions, but then you bathe it in grace, because life happens, ish happens, chaos happens, and you just have to address it. But then if intentionality and consistency is a habit in your life, when the ish does happen that you have to bathe in grace, you can get right back to being consistent after it's over and dealt with, right?
Yeah. And that's the good thing about, like, I think if you have followed, the precepts of the Bible for any length of time, you know that, like, God's mercies are new every morning. And, like, whatever failure you've accomplished, like you've come in contact with, or whatever you feel guilty about, like, tomorrow's a new day. And you were always less than 24 hours away from a fresh start. Just remember that. You were always less than 24 hours away from a fresh start. So you could make a mistake on hour 1 and you are less than 24 hours away from a fresh start. You know?
Looking on the bright side over here. Hope I didn't just wake my husband with that holler.
That's okay. So let's address guilt, because it's something that
what causes it.
Yeah, and we want to combat it, and we want to figure out how to eliminate it. There are some things that can cause us guilt, like working too much, not working enough, working while you should be being with your kids when you know you should be working. Intention is the therapy that combats guilt.
Yes.
Intention without action is a breeding ground for guilt. Okay, so having the best intentions but not doing anything about it is going to create guilt, ironically.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why our best actions, bathed in grace, is the right solution.
Okay, so let me give you an example. So, let me give you an example of a day with work without intentions and a day with, and what it looks like and how it feels. Okay,
I'm
so
ready.
a day without intentions looks like this. I wake up with my daughter walking into the room, poking me, saying, "Mommy, I'm awake. Are you awake? Are we awake? Is it time to wake up? It's morning." And I roll over and I get out of bed and I'm like, crap, I haven't even gotten dressed. My daughter's awake. I've had no time to myself. This sucks. Wake up, go. Me and all of my kids are all trying to get ready at the same time. It's chaotic and it takes forever because I'm also trying to pull them a bowl of cereal at the same time I'm trying to brush my hair. Like the day is just being thrown at me. And I already feel 15 steps behind and I just like can't catch up all day. I plug in my working hours like at the kitchen counter, like while they're eating breakfast, in every little nook and cranny I can get because I had no time in the morning. And I probably end up staying up way too late. Usually I don't stay up as late as I'm up right now. I am specifically staying up to finish projects because I have a deadline. But anyway, I stay up too late, maybe watching Netflix or a movie or something, and I feel like I did so much during the day, but I got nothing done. Okay, so that's like a horrible. I'm sure so many people can relate to days like that, where the day is literally running them. Now, a day set with intention starts the night before. Okay, I look at my planner, I pull it out, I just look at the day. What am I doing tomorrow? Okay, I got a couple appointments. Okay, how am I going to touch my business tomorrow? Okay, I'm going to do these 3 to 5 things in my business tomorrow. And then I go to bed
By the
because I
way,
just did a little brain dump.
pro tip, not to interrupt you, but I know you're probably listening to Polly and you're like, well, how do I even start that? We have a resource for you. So do not fret.
Yes.
Like we were not going to like recommend something to you that we can't support you in. So there are resources. We have ways for you to get this information and start implementing this in your life. Go ahead.
Yeah, true that. Okay. So it starts the night before. You look and see what your day looks like the night before so you know what you're going to wake up to. Next tip is I'm intentionally going to wake up before my children. So that means I'm intentionally going to bed earlier so I get the sleep I need, 7 to 8 hours. So I'll be going to bed early enough for me to get 7 to 8 hours for me to wake up before my kids. When I wake up, I'm going to do my morning routine. So I'm starting my day out right. And then I'm dressed and ready to go. My children come down the stairs and they're like, "Oh, mom is like ready." I'm not playing. I'm playing offense at this point, right? Is that the correct?
Yeah, girl.
The other one, it's like defense, Kate. But when you start your day right with intention, it just sets the tone for the rest of the day.
It changes the way the kids show up. Everything.
It's amazing. So then I tell my kids the plan for the day because I have one. And then, they'll do their big 5. I tell them the plan. We have a little specific schedule. I let them know I have to do some work during this time today. You get to choose an activity for when I'm working or whatever it is. Okay. And so then I have a schedule. I let them know, okay, I have to take a phone call at this time. I'm going to be doing this at this time. And so you can do this during that time. Okay. I said a lot of this and that's just now, but I think you get the idea. So but then say something happens, like I'm right in the middle of a meeting or I'm in the middle of working on a project and then kids start fighting or, and I have to go break that up or whatever. This is what we mean by intentions bathed in grace. Or like a kid gets injured outside, stubs their toe and they're bleeding and crying and they need mom. So this is what we mean. Like you're gonna have you can set your intentions and then issue's going to happen that you are going to get interrupted or whatever. But as long as you've got the intention set and you can kind of just reframe and adjust and just go with the flow, and just go into your days with low expectations, but high intentions.
I love it. Love it. That's how we combat the feeling of failure. And consistency is so important to that because you get to see long-term results. So the opposite of failure is success. And whether we succeeded today or doesn't make you necessarily a failure, because with consistency, you are filling the bucket of success.
Mm-hmm.
Momentum builds with streaks. So if you have a streak of a couple of good days, you start getting momentum. And so one step back, that whole old adage of one step back, two steps forward, you are making progress. You are moving towards success. And so if you're like me and you really do love adapting to things, you've heard from Paula, you know how much she craves and loves structure. I love spontaneity. I love not feeling restricted, but I can't operate without a schedule. But I don't want to operate on a super strict schedule, so I schedule white space.
Genius.
So that I can be free to be myself. So if a girlfriend calls and wants to meet up for lunch, I've got white space set aside for lunch. And there's times that I don't, and the white space gets filled with a call or maybe an unexpected meeting or something, and I have to say no, but at least I know that I gave myself the option to have that at some point, and I chose what I was going to put in there. And that freedom of choice can really liberate somebody like me who doesn't like to have boundaries, and I guess that sounds awful, but doesn't like to have restrictions. Doesn't like to be told that what they can't do. So I've got room for those things, and I schedule margin, and it's a powerful tool for somebody who isn't super rigid. So
yes. You've just got to have those low expectations. When you live a life of rigidity, you're going to experience more negative emotions in your life because things aren't going to go your way every single time. There's really,
especially as a mom, like,
yes,
there's too many things that are out of control.
And I'm totally type A. I'm a doer. I'm a get it doneer. I know I'm extra. I get that. But one of the best things, like, I know that when I'm having more bad days or I'm experiencing negative emotions and I'm evaluating it, I'm going, man, my expectations were too high. Like, that you can have low expectations, high intentions, and whether you have like a more spontaneous personality or a personality like mine where you crave the structure, you can what am I trying to say, Nicole?
you can have fluidity, you can have flexibility.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And there is some perfectionism that lies, whether you're a strict person or you're a flexible person. And I tend to struggle with perfectionism of a non-perfectionist. You put together a schedule, it doesn't go your way, and you throw the baby out with your bathwater, and you're like, oh, this doesn't work. This is stupid.
I'm done. Yeah.
I'm quitting. One thing doesn't go your way, and it doesn't mean that you quit the process. Okay. The consistency will give you the success, whether you have minor inconsistencies or not. Sometimes we need good friends to tell us we did good today, but sometimes that best friend can be ourselves, the one who says you did your best, because you're the only one that lived your life with you. Even your kids, they didn't go through the internal battle of what you did and you conquered that day. It's just you and God. And if you're feeling guilt, this is the time to release that to him, because he can handle it. You may not be able to, especially for those Enneagram type 1s, you can tend to be very self-critical. And just remember that, like, God sees you. He sees the intent of your heart. And even when your intent of your heart isn't good, he still loves you and forgives you. So hold on to that.
Yes. And you know what? I was just thinking it's hard. You know what's hard is when you as a mom go off. Okay, here's the example. So I go upstairs and Abe's got the kids, and I go upstairs and I'm going to work, and then I hear the kids crying downstairs, and I'm like, oh, I got to go help.
Fail.
I got to go help. And, I hear my kids crying, my milk's letting down, and I'm like, I got to go intervene. And you just want to go take care of it because that's just what you do. You're the mom. But then you just give it a few minutes and it's fine. It's fine. It blows over. I,
So,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, what's the difference between a legitimate reason to get up and an excuse?
Yes. Yeah.
If you're in a spirit of a lack of focus or you feel like you don't want to do it, and you're having a lot of resistance around something, whatever is coming up in your mind is most likely going to be an excuse. And, um, you know, Polly and I need each other to combat this because we, this business and our conversations and what we build is not our full-time thing. We want it to be, but it's not. And so we tend to let this become less important and let the urgent get in the way. And we've talked about that earlier. But you can have an accountability partner that helps you kind of discern and differentiate. Is this flesh? Is this my body resisting and not wanting to do what's hard? Or is this a real legitimate reason?
Is this flesh right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there is something I like to call saying an inspired no versus a resentful yes.
Mm.
So sometimes we, when we're sitting here trying to be intentional with our day and like things come up and sometimes people just have a hard time saying no. I super don't. I can say no like so easy, but I get that some people really struggle to say no.
If you're an Enneagram 2, this is your biggest struggle, just FYI, if anybody follows the Enneagram. A 2 is a people pleaser and they have a terrible time saying no. So.
Okay. So yeah. So this is for you then. If you have a really hard time saying no, it would be better for you to say an inspired no versus a resentful yes. What I mean by that is like, say you're asked to like volunteer at church for something or volunteer at school for something, and
you're voluntold. That's what that's called.
Yeah. But you want to work your business, right? And you set aside these office hours, right? So it's like this, it's so hard because you set time, and I know this is me, especially with I have little kids right now, but it's so hard. You set time aside to work your business. So like my husband and I tag team, he'll come home, I'll go work, and then I hear my kids needing me, and it's like, oh, I want to go down there and help because and it's hard to like break away. But but then I'll be like resentful later that I didn't get the work time in and that, whatever. So same thing with like you get asked to do something, you're voluntold to do something, and you want to say yes or you feel like you have to do it, but it totally eats into your work time. It would be better for you to say no than later be resentful and have all those negative emotions about it.
Yes, and I really use my friends as a barometer. Like, am I making an excuse or is this something that I really need to let go of? So just remember that like a friend can help you balance out. Like if you're rigid and you're used to sticking to a schedule, they can help you give yourself permission to let it go. And then if you're more flexible and you tend to be a procrastinator, they can help you stay focused and say like, no, this is important and stay on the track. So, and that can help you make it have an inspired no and avoid resentful yeses when you get some feedback from somebody who has a different perspective from you. Do not lean on somebody who's an enabler or has the same tendencies as you. They will give you permission to do that. Like I'm a great balance for Polly because when something important comes up and she's feeling bad that she may be letting me down, I'm so quick to extend grace and say, no. Like I totally get it. But I'm slow to make an excuse to Polly because I know she'll call me out on my ish.
It's true. I will. Yeah.
Let's talk about productivity. Where can we make the smallest amount of change and see the biggest difference? Some common problems that we see in the household as far as household management is kids running the show, waking up at different times, going to bed at different times, kids not being hungry at breakfast or not eating at dinner, being super cranky, not going to bed when they're told, bedtime taking forever. When you have a bedtime routine and it ends up taking 2 hours, that's just as much torture as not having one. Getting out the door, getting them to put their shoes on, messes everywhere, interrupted work time. So all of these things, go ahead.
I just got anxiety like listening to that.
Okay. Well, I tried to say them fast so that we could just get through them because everybody has experienced these probably already today, all of them.
I know, and that's what I mean. It's like you hear a day like that and you're like, I don't want a day like that. Like It just sounds so horrible.
And we are not the only ones that need consistency. Our kids need it desperately. And in parenting, I think it is the most important ingredient. Like when you're not consistent, when you're trying to parent from the couch, when you're letting them get away with things, they only remember the things they get away with. They don't remember the punishments. And so being consistent with them is so key, so that they start to expect, I don't want to say the worst, but they start to expect the consequence, so you don't have to always be threatening with it. So kids in general crave routine. Chaos breeds chaos. So don't let the day dictate the routine. Even if you have a lot of work, do the routine first. It is an anchor and a mile marker. It's something that is standard in your day, that is a non-negotiable, that you can operate everything else around.
Oh, totally.
Again, with grace. Because
Yes.
if you have a 7 o'clock a doctor's appointment, like, that's going to throw your day off. Okay.
Oh, for real. Yep. Bathe it in grace.
Yeah.
You know, one aspect of giving yourself grace as you implement routine and intention in your life is you might slip up and actually go back to what you normally did. And it is absolutely okay to say, whoops, I forgot we were actually doing this, and then fix it. So, like, for example, you know, I was going to get started with something, and Audrey asked if she can play the iPad, and I say, oh, sure. And then I realize, oh, she didn't clean up her mess from forever ago, and I'm starting to implement intentional cleaning up your mess time. And so I just say, oh, whoops, I forgot that we're actually cleaning up messes before we, whatever, you know, do the next thing. So it's okay to tell your kids that you made a mistake and then fix it, you know, like, give yourself grace instead of being like, oh, screw it, throw it out with the bathwater. I'm not going to do this anymore.
And that's where guilt can really creep in. When you realize you've made a mistake and you perpetuate it, like, you keep making the same mistake over and over again. And kids are really smart. They can actually play the guilt game. They know what an effect guilt has on you, and they can literally manipulate. My 8-year-old does this all the time. When she was 4, she would do this. So, like, oh, but you promised, or you said I could, or you said, I hear them all the time, Daddy said that, you know. And so don't let that become something that motivates you to get away from the consistency.
Okay, so this was a great episode.
I hope they think so, not just us.
I know, sorry, Polly recording an episode at 1 a.m. This is a good one. So when we mean, after all this, when we mean implement intentionality, we mean having a plan, focusing on it, including God in on it, and understanding that you have a plan, but you're not in control. Okay. You just gotta go with the flow. Okay. You set your intentions, you bathe them in grace, understand that some days are going to be crazy and others will be amazing and productive and feel so good. And the key to success really is consistency. So today's intentional practice is, we have a quote for you to print and frame or put it on your bathroom mirror or whatever. It just says, set your intentions and bathe them in grace, to just remind you of implementing this intentionality. I know one thing that I started to do when I first started using eyelash serum was I put a Post-it note right on my mirror that just said lashes, to remind me to do it every single night. And after a couple of months, you get used to having something like that in front of your face, and you have to, like, move it and make it new, you know?
So make sure that this is somewhere that you cannot avoid it, whether it be in your car, in the dashboard, or in your mirror, because your inability to follow through on the things first in the day and to interrupt that pattern of forgetting is the thing that's going to dictate the rest of the way your day goes. So either you're going to miss it and feel bad about it the rest of the day, or you're going to catch it early enough to say, hey, I missed this, let me go back and do it, and give yourself a chance at success. Get a second chance at success early on in the day.
That was good. So next episode, we are going to be talking about my favorite, time management. Okay, this is kind of where all the stuff that we just talked about, the last 3 episodes, it's all accumulating here. Okay, so if you want to get any show notes or the links for our printable today, just go to the intentionalmompreneur.com/6 to grab that. And Nicole, I think it's about that time.
Yay. Okay. Well, let's just pray together. I think this is a great topic and we need God's grace over it. Heavenly Father, thank you for just your word and just the guidance that you've given us throughout the years that we could kind of articulate this thing that we know you want us to learn, and that is grace. And without grace, our intentions fall short every single time. And that our guilt and our failures and our shortcomings, that we can trust you with them. That we will not be perfect and we will fall short, that we will miss the mark. But the important thing is that we aim for it and we trust you with the results. Help us to set intentions and to live out our heart's desires to be better moms, better business owners, better wives, better sisters, daughters, to be the best that you've called us to be. And that when we fall short, that we would give that failure and that disappointment to you, and that we would not bear and carry guilt, and that we would be better because we choose to be consistent and trust the process of growing and changing every single day by being consistent. I pray for each woman listening to this, that their hearts would be encouraged and that they would find hope, and that tomorrow they would take one step toward consistency. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Oh, girl, I love the way you pray.
Thank you. Those are not scripted, FYI. If it's anything good, it's from the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, no, that just comes straight off the cuff. Love it.
Love it. In the
All
zone.
right, YouTube, good night. It's 1 a.m. my time.
Okay, we love you all, and we are going to say good night for now. Oh, please include that, George. That was so good. And now I will conclude our recording to YouTube. Stop. Yes.
Hey, Polly here. We want to thank you for watching another episode of The Intentional Mompreneur. We would love to join in community with you and link arms, so be sure to check the description for a link to our website, where you will find an awesome group to join, as well as loads of resources to help take your business and mom life to the next level. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave some comments. We love reading them. And until next time, bathe it in grace.